We know Season 4 is just around the corner, and that also means 10.2.7 should be coming soon. The big thing about 10.2.7 has been that time-running Pandemonium. No one knows what it is. No one knows what it's about yet. We understand that it's probably some PvE-related event, right? It's not another Plunderstorm thing. It's going to be an in-game thing. We've seen new assets dropped in Pandaria, but still, nobody knows what this thing is. So let's see what Taliesin and Evitel have to say. Everything we know about Pandemonium time running.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and today we are talking World of Warcraft patch 10.2.7. We are talking Pandemonium, the time-running event. What's that? Hey, that's a really good question, and
Nobody
it's
knows.
The question on everybody's lips. What is Pandemonium? What is time running? And why are Holly Longdale and Jeremy Fiesel seemingly talking about it alongside...
Yeah, PvE-focused content. They made sure to focus on that because of Blunderstorm and all the controversy that came out of a PvP event.
Plunderstorm. Is this another completely new way to play World of Warcraft that will also need an entirely new login screen and character? Maybe? Actually, in this video, we are going to be looking at everything we know about Pandemonium. And be warned, okay? Because actually, we know quite a lot. From data mined items and armor and trinkets and gems and... there's some other stuff too. So if you are determined to go into the patch with not even the slightest clue about what is about to happen, don't be a dick. Don't watch this video. Go and watch another one of our videos instead.
I wonder if those recolors of the Judgment set and everything that we recently saw have anything to do with time-running Pandemonium. There's interesting thoughts on that, but I have no idea. One thing that it could be, that I'm kind of hoping it is we know Xal'atath has been hopping between, current timeline, retail WoW, and Season of Discovery WoW, which is just, back in time, going back to Season of Discovery. It's just a back-in-time version of current time. So I'm hoping that maybe we're going to do some kind of crazy crossover event with Season of Discovery. That would be insane. And actually get some cool recolors of old tier sets. I wish they up-res them and not just recolored them. But that's maybe wishful thinking. But that's what I'm hoping this event's going to be about.
For the rest of you, join us as we comb through the files and clues and piece together the mysteries of 10.2.7 Pandemonium, okay? Go, 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 go.
It's loud as shit.
What they've told us. Yeah. Let's start with the absolute basics. We know this event is called time running, Pandemonium. I said the absolute basics.
Yeah, my ears are bleeding.
Already tells us plenty. Time running is like time walking, but not. Running is faster than walking, so presumably time running is like a faster version of time walking, right? Sounds legit. And Pandemonium is spelled wrong to include the word panda, and obviously Pandemonium literally means wild uproar, noise, chaos. So even if all we had was the name of this event, you might reasonably expect a faster, more chaotic version of Mists of Pandaria time walking. And not to give too much away right now, but data mining certainly seems to back that up. I feel I should also mention...
We don't even have Siege of Orgrimmar time walking, do we? Last time I checked, we don't. So, I don't know if we get some kind of crazy version of Siege of Orgrimmar. That would be interesting.
And I don't think this is important, but it would be weird not to bring it up. Pandemonium is also the capital city of Hell, in Milton's Paradise Lost, filled with foul demons. Which, if you have your big brain, I don't care what anyone thinks, speculation hat on this channel, we never take it off. Then you could also try and link this to demons, so the Burning Legion or Hell. So
Hell is underground, maybe.
Jailer? Like I say, I don't think.
Oh God, no! Please, no! Oh man, we're going back to Shadowlands, boys. That's it. We figured it out. Cancel the expansion.
Thing to read too much into. In fact, maybe we shouldn't think about it at all. Seriously, stop thinking about the jailer. This is supposed to be fun. You're spoiling it. Another thing we know is that it is a PvE event. In a recent Twitter post talking about the community reaction to Plunderstorm and some criticism about how...
Yeah, fun to see players share Plunderstorm stories and the feedback as the event evolves. We have Season 4 coming up, news soon for all of you PvEers curious about what we have in store for you, this is definitely a hint at Pandemonium. We are experimenting leading up to the War Within. Still more on tap. Yeah, exciting. This is good stuff. And we know it's a PvE event. I don't think it's a separate event like Plunderstorm was. I do think it's an in-game event.
The new Battle Royale game mode was an exclusively PvP event. Holly Longdale said, "We have Season 4 coming up, and for all you PvPers out there curious what we have in store for you."
Throne of Thunder was an amazing raid. It's a great raid, and yes, I hope they bring it back in some shape or form.
Interface explosion.
Lost it.
And first of all, okay, I don't know how you play it, but in my soft hands, Plunderstorm is also absolutely a PvE event. Stealthing around the zone, picking up other people's scraps like a starving hyena, and then hiding in a bush for 20 minutes isn't exactly Arena 2's, or it turns out very fun, but it's the Taliesin way. But if this tweet specifically positions Pandemonium as a PvE event in contrast to Plundy Time, then Jeremy Feasels, where he says, "Plunderstorm is here and Pandemonium is coming."
There it
Probably
is.
the wildest pre-expac period in WoW history. That kind of suggests that they are similar in terms of scope. And are they? When I said Mrs. Pandaria time walking, but faster, you probably got a vague image in your head of what that might look like, and it was probably something you felt that we had essentially seen in WoW before, or at very least, you knew where to find
raids.
it
I
in
wouldn't
your
like that.
ways to play WoW database.
Sounds stressful.
This tweet suggests that might not be the case, because if Pandemonium really is worthy of being mentioned alongside Plunderstorm in terms of dev time, originality, or surprise, then just like that.
More content on Modern Experiences. We are in the twilight of an expansion and want to continue to provide frequent content leading up to the next one. Now is the time for us to spin some experiences, learn, grow. We know we can't please everyone, but we see you all for Azeroth. Okay.
Game mode, it's likely to be something
Basically, she's saying that this should provide some fun for PvEers as much as Plunderstorm provided for PvP.
Unlike WoW's Battle Royale, though, it looks like Pandemonium hasn't managed to stay a complete secret. Ever since the 10.2.5 PTR, there have been things appearing in the data that, well, I think you'll agree, are clearly connected to this event and can help illuminate what it's all about. The data. One file that everyone has been talking about lots for months, but especially in the last few days since it was highlighted again in a Bellular video, is the Datamining file names Vampire Survivors mode, game mode, client scene, and 10.2.5 Vampire Survivor mode data.
If you're wondering what a Vampire Survivor is basically where waves of enemies come at you and you obliterate them and you get abilities and you start killing more and the waves get bigger and it just progressively gets more and more insane. The whole thing about a Vampire Survivor mode in WoW is like, I imagine like Scourge invasions or something like that, where the Scourge is coming at you and you're getting like crazy abilities, kind of like you get in Plunderstorm, and you're just obliterating wave after wave of Scourge coming at you. But what could the Scourge have to do with Pandaria? I have no idea how any of that could be related, or what would happen from maybe Shaw invasions or something. Who knows? You die, you get stronger each time.
Is a bullet hell roguelike
this
where
is what it is.
millions of enemies all home in on your character while you move around collecting power-ups to help bust a path through ceaseless hordes and collect the gems they drop to level up. Coins collected are used to purchase power-ups.
I did make my own video on
enhance your
Pandemonium,
abilities and make it easier to progress further next time. So it's a game about progression. It's a game about kiting and perseverance. Most of all, though, it's a game about becoming massively overpowered and mowing through more enemies than you can even count on screen. It's awesome. I'll be honest, it's pretty easy to see how this could translate into a very enjoyable and relatively easy to implement.
To be honest, I mean, the closest thing we've had to a Vampire Survivor in WoW is probably Torghast, right? Where you got like power-up abilities and you got stronger and stronger and you kind of went God mode if you got the right abilities. It's probably the closest thing, although Torghast was not that exciting, not that fun, so I hope that that's not what we're getting. What we could get is Torghast-style abilities like anima powers, shit like that, but in a Vampire Survivor mode where there's waves of enemies coming at you rather than you venturing through some kind of timed run Torghast shit. And have, maybe multiple people doing it at the same time. That would be cool.
game modes.
Like Torghast,
especially
yeah.
now that Plunderstorm exists, which establishes that we can have whole
Kinda like the first boss in Sanctum, yeah.
and characters specifically for these other game modes. Oh hi, it's me, Taliesin. I've never designed or built a video game in my entire life. I don't know the first thing about it, and I wouldn't know where to start, but I'm pretty sure this would be very easy to implement. So make it happen, team. Stop slacking. Pop a player in one of the old...
Interesting thought. Hear me out. Zandalari worked close with Lei Shen, and Wansamdi is the chief Loa of the Zandalari now. He could facilitate a zombie-style game mode? Yeah, he could. He's also like a favorite of the fan base, right? I can't imagine bringing back Wansamdi in any way being an L. I think people would like that. So yeah, it could be. Although, what is Wansamdi? Maybe his relation to Lei Shen? I don't know how you relate that to Pandaria and everything else. It's kind of out there, but maybe he has some relation. What is up, Mikey?
Old Pandaria scenario maps, get a million Shah or whatever to attack, drop a few power-ups, and have at it. Well, yes, but there is a couple of niggles that I have with this idea. In Vampire Survivors, all the abilities are passive and automated. You never press a button to throw a knife or fire your wand or your cross or snap your whip. They all happen automatically on timed loops.
Right.
And you could easily do this in a WoW version of the game, sure, but it would abandon one of WoW's biggest strengths, in my opinion. That being that it is the
Rotational
MMO
clicking.
out of all MMOs where it just feels really good to press your combat buttons.
True.
Those data-mined file names are pretty unambiguous though, and Pandemonium, being a Vampire Survivors style game, would seem like a smart bet, but it's not the only thing that could point towards the basic premise of time running in the files. There's also Panda Time Walking season quests. These also popped up in the 10.2.5 data and consist of 15 chapters of story quests from Mists of Pandaria. Actually, it consists of basically every story quest from Mists of Pandaria. The leveling quests for every single one of the zones, for Horde and Alliance, plus the 5.1 story quests, 5.2, which is the Isle of Thunder, 5.3, and 5.4, which is of course the Siege of Orgrimmar raid. And by the way, did I mention that a bunch of weapons from Siege of Orgrimmar recently found their way back into the data? If I didn't, I feel like it'd probably be important to mention it right about...
I feel like Siege of Orgrimmar is going to play some kind of role in this. Like I said before, where maybe we'll get a time-walking Siege of Orgrimmar, but something different. Otherwise, they would have just said time-walking Mists of Pandaria, which they didn't. So clearly, there is some kind of shit going on with this.
Now, almost as if they planned on bringing it back
Some of
for
them have abilities are
Pandemonium
used. It's
time
interesting.
walking. Could this be time walking story quests, where players are invited to relive the entire narrative campaign of the expansion with the most celebrated narrative campaign of any WoW expansion in history? I know a lot of people would go absolutely wild if that were the case, myself included. Yes, please. I wish to play the whole of Mop's story in one patch
Gems
just for a
and
jolly.
such,
Count me in. Question: why would they call this time running? Why would they call this
Not too long after the start of Season 4,
this
this
doesn't sound
should
like a
start.
faster or more chaotic version of standard time walking. If anything, it feels like it would be way more time-consuming and meandering, and also very much a do it once and you're done kind of thing. Not the repeatable gameplay that it would need to be compared to Plunderstorm. And then you might think, okay, well, obviously then it's neither of these things. Perhaps it's the old challenge modes from Mists of Pandaria back again. Except if it is, it's a very different version of the challenge modes, because Holly was asked that exact question on Twitter and she replied, or maybe something even better. Ooh, she's such a tease, but I love it.
It could be like a mage tower type thing? That's what I imagine when I hear about a challenge mode offering gear, is like some type of mage tower stuff.
Maybe it's a temple run style thing where they've just sexed up that Mist's rep quest where you roll along the Great Wall, or the Bronze Dragonflight running through different timelines quest from Dragonflight, beefed up with power-ups and rewards. And it could be, honestly, any of those things. But I haven't even started on the real evidence yet.
There was even a Suramar quest line where you used to pick up the orbs and run along with the mount. They've done this temple run style game a couple times in the game already.
Is where it gets very interesting, okay? Because we might not know which, if any, of these formats Pandemonium is going to take, but we can say with some confidence pretty much literally every item that will appear in it. Everything in Pandemonium. Like everything else we've looked at so far, all of what I am going to show you now first appeared in the Seeds of Renewal 10.2.5 PTR data. And
Right.
there is a lot. Weapons, transmog sets, trinkets, rings, necks, consumables, and you may be thinking, wow, Tally, that sounds very exciting, but how are you so confident that these items are tied to time-running Pandemonium? And that's a good question. It's a pretty simple answer.
Yeah, he's gonna
Let's
show
take,
them, I
for
think.
example, just completely at random, this plate set, which is called the Time Runners set, and
Oh, this is
uses
what we're
the
just looking
appearance
at.
of an old Mists of Pandaria plate set. Unambiguous enough for you? There are 4 time running sets in the data, 1 each for plate, mail, leather, and cloth, and each one based on an old Mist set appearance. The gear in
Interesting.
each one is item level 13 and requires level 10 to use. And in fact, you'll see that just about everything I'm going to show you in this segment is item level 13 and requires level 10 to use. Certainly seems like the
Kind of like, you know, they said Plunderstorm was playable by anybody, so that maybe they're going for the same theory here.
whatever the time running event is, it is capped at level 10. Or perhaps it starts at level 10. Or perhaps it's always level 10 with no leveling involved. We'll come back to that, because what's even more interesting is the fact that each of these 4 sets has a total of 5 gem slots on them. Hey, let's talk about the gems. The Time Runners Opal, Amethyst, Sapphire, Ruby,
Oh, there you
Emerald,
go.
and Topaz were
There's the
all added in the
power-ups.
10.2.5 data. It probably won't surprise you to learn that they require level 10 to use and award the standard speed, mastery, crit, leech, health regen, and haste that
Oh
you
man, so that vampire-like shit. Like, that's the roguelike, vampire-like stuff, where you're just powering up. You get all 6 of these, you go God mode.
might expect. There's also the ephemeral gems added in that same PTR, which require level 10 and offer split stats. So, for example, the Amethyst awards mastery and haste.
Very
We don't have any
interesting.
actual numbers on any of these gems yet. So whatever time running is, it definitely looks like it will involve picking up 5 of the gems you want and whacking them in your armor, which,
Right.
you know, it does seem a bit like Vampire Survivors,
Yep.
doesn't it? Gaining in power to deal with more and more enemies. Did you like those armor sets? Well, there's more armor sets. Each armor class
Nice.
also has at least 1 other set in the data, all of which are item level 13 and require level 10 to equip, all of which use the appearances of old Mists of Pandaria sets, all of which have unique names
gotta be
that
related.
weren't in Mists, like the Cloth Passion Silk set, and all of which feature no gem slots and are otherwise perfectly normal, except for the chest piece on each set, which all feature an on-use ability, transform into the avatar of Chi-Ji, the Red Crane.
We have a realm to destroy.
Rutasanko. I just said that wrong. Thank you so much for the follow and welcome to our Scourge. This is interesting, to say the least. Transforms to inflict 100% of spell power, 100% of attack power, fire damage to enemy, and restores 150% of spell power plus 150% attack power health to allies within 20 yards. Those are huge numbers. That is not normal shit. I mean, that's going God mode for sure. So this has to be part of this event, and I'm starting to think more and more that this Vampire Survivor theory has to be true.
Gain 50% movement speed and 3 new damaging abilities for 45 seconds. It also says that transforming damages enemies and heals allies, but there's no cooldown listed on this ability. Is it single use? Is the idea that you're running around in your time running set, find this chest piece, put it on to become Chi-Ji for a bit, and then swap it out again? The very
PvE
sharp
done
among you
removal.
will have also noticed this ability confirms that time running is a group event. You have allies. So, do you have to have allies? You would if it was the challenge modes back again. Or is it optional to team up, like it is in Plunderstorm? One thing we can definitely say, Pandemonium and Time Running does appear to be all about the power-ups. Because as well as these gemmed armor sets and new abilities, there were 4 rings in the 10.2.5 data, although
Ew.
only 2 different passive effects between them. 2 of these rings allow you to avoid damage taken equal to your dodge, parry, or
Tanking
block
rings.
at the expense of no longer being able to dodge, parry, or block. And 2 of them convert 50% of your overhealing into searing light, inflicting holy damage on nearby enemies.
Hold on, what? Wait a minute, I don't understand. Your damage taken is reduced by an amount equal to your dodge, parry, block chances. You can no longer dodge, parry, or block. So it just takes the dodge, parry, and block and implements it into your just, rotational shit? Your damage taken is reduced. It just makes it a passive thing? That's interesting.
searing light, inflicting holy damage on nearby enemies.
Thanks.
Hello, friends! You may be surprised to hear that I've
Squarespace.
been doing a bit of square spacing, which is great because they just so happen to be sponsoring today's video. If you've been keeping up with
today's
the
my last
WoW
day of fasting,
discourse
too.
lately, you may have seen a few charts and graphs floating around. Some figures, some stats. Now, I don't really know what those are about, but they did remind me of Squarespace's sweet, sweet analytics platform.
That's
I
so nice.
absolutely love digging deep into who visits our little corner of the internet. And why?
Get into the
Looking at our
analytics.
engagement stats, apparently 16 people visited our blog page, which is funny
Ramadan,
because
religious
we don't have a blog.
tweet.
I'm learning something new every day. You can also look into sales figures if you really want to self-flagellate. You can see how each product sells, and look, here's a line graph with no X or Y axis indicating nothing apart from line goes up or line goes down. Of course, Squarespace does give you precise figures in every instance, which I love, but I also just like to take a broader look at things sometimes. It's kind of going up, in a way.
I should
and of
use
course, you
Squarespace
can
for my
look into
OnlySams
your
account.
website traffic and find out exactly
Definitely.
where everyone is coming from. You can
Be good
break
to
it
know.
up by social platform, YouTube, unsurprising, or search engine. Apparently, DuckDuckGo is still a thing. Cool. And even by keyword. Let's have a look. Taliesin and Nevitel. Make sense? Wikipedia, age.
J-Mal, that sounds horrible.
Really?
Horribly bitter.
Really? I'm gonna need a word. Curious to peer into your own crystal ball of hard analytics? If you're keen, just head to squarespace.com/TaliasinEvitel or use code TaliasinEvitel for
Use their
10%
code.
off your first purchase of a website or domain. And I'll leave you with a challenge, internet. Next time I browse my analytics, I want to see some good searches. Taliesin-Evitel lovely. Taliesin-Evitel absolutely glowing complexion. Taliesin-Evitel fill in the blank. Keep it clean though. I mean it, because I'm watching.
my
That's
mind went to bad places.
squarespace.com
Glad this is
/Taliesin-Evitel.
There are 7 new neck items. Ank of Reincarnation is a one-use cheat death. Divine Prayer Beads restore 20% health. It has 10 charges. Likewise, the Gigantifier, which increases your damage done by 15% for 15 seconds with 10 charges. Nick of Time increases the user's haste by 25%.
So what I've gathered from all these pieces of gear, the rings, the necks, the set bonuses, the gem slots, is that basically if you get all this stuff and you equip it, you are gonna go full God mode, massively cocked, unkillable, destroying everything within your path mode. And what the hell could that be related to? What would you be doing in that case? Running Siege in God mode? What the heck is this thing? I wonder, but maybe like just single player running Siege of Orgrimmar by yourself in a timed mode or something? I don't know. It'd be fun to watch, that's for sure.
And decreases the attack speed of all enemies
that'd be very
within
streamable
20
content.
yards by 25%, which is insane.
Destroy
Has
Lion's
5
Fire.
charges, which is super insane. The Miniaturizer causes an enemy to inflict 25% decreased physical damage and has 10 charges. And the Scarab Shell reduces damage taken by 25% for 15 seconds and has 10 charges. So again, there does seem to be a focus on almost disposable gear here. Again,
what
with
the
these
heck?
necks, there are also trinkets, which super interestingly all seem designed to replace what some classes bring to a group. So Blood of Manaroth is just a lust effect. Chaos Brand is the Demon Hunter
this
passive
sounds like
that
solo
increases
content.
magic damage done to targets, and Flicker Blossom is Blink. When these were first data mined in the 10.2.5 PTR, there was a lot of talk on forums about how they were guardians of the dream trinkets for a Midrisil, but that's just
That's not it. Obviously, this sounds like a new take on the Mage Tower. That's what this sounds like. This sounds like some kind of a timed run, power up shit. You know, do this by yourself, Mage Tower kind of stuff.
because not many people really made the connection.
Is this for
with
Mythic Plus or
time
something
running,
else?
but
No, these seem to be Bojack. These seem to be related to Time Running Pandemonium, this new game mode that's coming out in 10.2.7. And all these items seem to be linked to it, but nobody knows what this thing is yet. So we're just trying to figure that out.
They are definitely for Pandemonium. They're level 13 and they require level 10 to use. The most interesting thing about these, for me, is that it suggests perhaps
Timed React
Demon
video.
Hunters will not be usable in Pandemonium, just
Why
like
does it
Drakthir
suck
aren't
balls?
available in Plunderstorm. And if that's true, it means this event will indeed also require new characters to be made to take part, just like Plunderstorm. How would we...
I get your little, maybe your gripes, Bojack, about why they're doing this, but just know this is not the main thing about 10.2.7. 10.2.7 is also bringing us the new Harbinger quest lines. It's bringing us a couple new things into the game. This seems like a Mage Tower style event. So it's not, I don't think it's going to be a Plunderstorm outside of WoW event. I think this is going to be some kind of Mage Tower, get a cool set of gear, you know, run it difficulty kind of thing just to pass the time. Bro, it doesn't matter, shouldn't happen at all. You know, it's fine as long as it's not taken away from the main content. Maybe you feel like it is, but I feel like we're still getting a lot of other things along with this. Like, this is not a Plunderstorm, this is the patch, this is all you're getting thing. This is this is one piece of like 10 different things that we're getting. So I don't mind that we're getting it.
Feel about another event that your mains are actually totally excluded from? I don't know. There is another trinket in the data as well. The Time Runner's Chalice, which you'll notice has no effect on it, but I suspect it's actually low-key the most fundamental part of this game mode. My guess is that all players will receive this chalice in their Time Runners starters kit. An important part of the gameplay loop will be finding and filling it with drafts. These are files that increase all the stats that you'd expect them to, but unlike files in the live game, they aren't temporary. Let's look at the text on the draft of Critical Strike. Empty the contents of this draft into your chalice to permanently increase your critical strike. Wow. And it's the same for all of these.
So that sounds like this would be a game mode that you continually get more powerful. And you know, remember we said about Vampire Survivors where if you die, you can get stronger and stronger? That's what this seems like, where you drink these, and even if you die, you drink it again and again and again, and you continue to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Every expansion, we used to have 14 dungeons, now we get 8, less raids every expansion. Here's what I'll say about that, though. For the World Soul Saga, we're supposed to get expansions way quicker. Gone are going to be the times of 2-year, expansion things. You know, there's not going to be 2-year expansions anymore. So, yes, we're probably going to get 3 raids and 8 dungeons, but it's going to be for a shorter time period. So I think we're going to kind of get back to what you're saying, Bojack, about the amount of content based on how squished the timeline's going to be. Because they're not going to be 2-year expansions anymore. They're going to be a year and a little bit. So I think 3 raids and 8 dungeons is going to be enough when we're talking about that. It wasn't enough for WoD. I agree there was a drought there. And it wasn't enough for even Shadowlands felt like there was a drought. But it's completely separate. It's as close to WoW as getting Hearthsteed from playing Hearthstone. I don't think so. It's basically a modded version of WoW that is separate. But that's what the Mage Tower was. The Mage Tower was just like this challenge mode of WoW that didn't really do anything besides get you some transmog gear. And I think that's what you're going to get out of this, is some transmog gear. So you don't get anything in-game. It doesn't even happen in-game. Well, I think this is going to be an in-game event, though. It's going to be a different version of the Mage Tower. And I think the Mage Tower is very popular. The Mage Tower was a very popular event. And because it wasn't the only content you got, though, there's going to be other things. I think you're a bit emotionally charged about Plunderstorm, which I understand. There's a lot of people who hated the event because they wanted something in-game and they felt like this took away from dev time. But I think this is different. I don't think this is another Plunderstorm.
All of these will permanently increase the stat in question when combined with your Chalice trinket. And I have questions. First of all, there's going to be a lot of dying in this mode, right? When it says permanent, it doesn't mean like forever. It means until your game is over.
I think this is going to be a solo raid boss, though.
Normal WoW. This is definitely
I think that's what this is going to be.
Standalone, separate, contained game mode. And with that in mind, can I only add one, or can I add lots? Can I add lots of the same? Is this a constant progression system that allows near limitless power upgrading in the short time that the game lasts?
I think this might be a solo Siege of Orgrimmar run event. That's what I'm thinking. Multiple raid bosses, multiple, pulls, all kinds of stuff like that. Blunderstorm, Jesus. Yeah. Like they need the systems to work and the current I think that he's saying this, he thinks this could be separate. I personally think it's going to be an in-game event. I don't think this is going to be a separate client thing. I don't. React video for boss.
If it is, then that does
React
once
video boss,
again
yeah.
link in with the Vampire Survivors thing. A good game of Survivors will end with you basically being invincible and destroying everything till you win. Is that possible in Pandemonium?
And like I
Then
said
how
before,
does
this is not the only content we're getting in 10.2.7. Unlike Plunderstorm, we are getting a bunch of stuff in this patch. This is just one thing.
that
Just
link
one
in
thing.
with the story quests? Okay, what is Pandemonium? Seriously, what is it? What is it? I think the evidence is pretty strong that Pandemonium
Except for-
and Timerunning is in fact a Vampire Survivors style, completely separate game mode, just like Plunderstorm before it, where you create a character, jump in at level 10 or level to level 10, like in Plunderstorm, and basically just kill enemies until you win or get overwhelmed. Honestly, when you think about it, that's not even too different from the Proving Grounds that were introduced in Mists. But Pandemonium looks like it is chock full of power-ups, of which I would guess these ones we found are only a selection. It doesn't seem like there will be non-WoW standardized new abilities like in Plunderstorm, or at least there's no evidence of that yet, and tackling this new mode as a group is at least possible, maybe even mandatory. So why are those story quests in the data? Well, it's worth noting that the quests are named Pandaria Time Walking Season, not Time Running. And, you know, could these actually be two different events? Could
I don't think so.
10.2.7 see
think they're related.
Pandemonium, a new separate bullet hell Vampire Survivors game mode, and a new extended Time Walking Season, one that allows players to relive the story of Pandaria, and a Siege of Orgrimmar Time Walking raid? You know, if I
Yeah.
had to guess, yeah, actually, that's exactly what I'd say at the moment. And you know
Yeah, I
what?
think so.
There's a question beyond all of this too, isn't there? Why? Why Pandaria? I mean, because it's a brilliant expansion,
Yeah,
obviously.
I
but
agree,
If we are
why?
getting to replay the entire story again, might there be an even bigger reason? A more
Something related to the lore?
immediate narrative reason leading into the war within?
That's
Might
what
the
I'm
dev
thinking.
team, in all their wisdom, think it might be a good idea for some reason to remind us of Yasharaj? I told you the big brain
That's what
speculation
I was
hat never
thinking.
came off, didn't I?
Yeah, see, the Siege of Orgrimmar has a lot to do with Old God power. You know, obviously, Garrosh takes on the power of the Old God Yashra. All that stuff happens, so I do think there's going to be some relation to the lore in this thing. I do.
But what do you think?
Unlike
what do all
Plunderstorm.
of these data mined things mean? What is Pandemonium? Give your best guess in the comments below. And actually, when 10.2.7 arrives, I will go through the comments. I will find the comment that's the closest to getting it right, and you will win a War Within Digital Deluxe Edition. With that said,
shit.
if you do comment, please ignore any replies from anyone that isn't this exact YouTube channel. Anyone else would be a scam. But I'll give you a Digital Deluxe, that's a promise. And thanks for joining us today. If you like this video, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make all of our work happen. And seriously guys, thank you, because without you, there'd be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evertel. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Quasi.
There it
No,
is.
my name is Taliesin from me and Evertel. Until next time, cheerio.
Great video. I do think this is a Siege of Orgrimmar solo run, Mage Tower style event with the vampire-esque gameplay. I definitely think that's what it is, a Vampire Survivor. I don't think it's Copia. Look, Bojack, I will say one thing. Your dislike of Plunderstorm, you just got to remember, I think your opinion of Plunderstorm, it's valid if that's the opinion you want to have. But just remember, it's your opinion. I don't think it's the entire community's opinion. You can go in right now and Plunderstorm games fill up pretty quickly. I think there's a lot of people playing it. Overall, I think it was a success for Blizzard to bring a lot of people back. It brought my brother back into the game. So I think it did do what Plunderstorm was intended to do, and that was just kind of be some filler content, be a little bit of fun, and maybe bring some people back that hadn't come back, right? You got to have an active sub to do it, so people came back, subbed, got into it, and then started playing Dragonflight after. I like it too. I'm not a PvPer by any means. I never PvP. But I do enjoy Plunderstorm for what it is. It's a fun little side piece of content. And we haven't been lacking a lot of content in Dragonflight overall. The content's been coming out at a pretty good pace. So to say that, oh, the devs are making this and they're not making the game, I don't think that's the case at all. I think we've been getting a good cadence of content so far. Let's see how much you enjoy it, then play it. Let's see, I do enjoy it. I played it a couple times on stream. Now, I want to go get my Legendary right now, and the good thing about Plunderstorm is you don't have to play it if you don't want to. I don't want to play it right now. I want to play the game. I want to get in, and I want to do my Legendary questline, so that's what I'm going to do. It's not a required part of the game. And that's why I don't understand the hate towards it. Like, if you want to go do it, you can go do it. If you don't, guess what? You don't have to.